something? Yeah, this is where I'm trying to get you to go. All those other things are they're good things to notice. They're there's 4 levels of interpretation, and we're looking at the 3rd level. How do we apply this in our lives? What application can we look at from this study and learn from it? So the question is, what can we learn from these plagues? Because typically we just look at them as something that is going to happen or something that did happen.
It's not true that only 20% of them left? 80% stayed in the land?
That the rabbis say that only 20% of Israel left. Mm-hmm.
Okay, kind of like us, like the Christians. They like their big churches, their Cadillacs. They're gonna leave them.
The plagues were divided into 3. So and the reason they were divided into 3 is because they're going to deal with 3 aspects of our lives. The plagues were divided into 3 so that we're going to look at, again, what can we learn from these plagues that will teach us about our own lives today and what's going on in our own lives today. The plagues were divided into 3 so that, 1, God could return us back to who we were created to be. And just as Jimmy said, what were we created to be? A nation that praised God in the earth and pointed everyone else to that God. That was the only reason Israel was created, was to point the whole world to God. And that is the nation that God is trying to bring us back to. A nation that was to be the light to the nations. A special people. A nation that was not made on its own merits, but a nation made by God Himself. And today, as our president speaks, it's all about I. And most of us look at our nation as what we've done, what America has done. This great nation that we live in. And our emphasis really has went away from the nation that God created us to be. So in other words, we are just like our forefathers. We lost sight of where our land is and where our home is. We're just sojourners. We don't live, well, we live in America, but this isn't our home. We know that Israel is our home. But we've been engulfed by Egypt, so the only thing we know is America, Egypt. In Genesis 12:2, the Lord says, I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and I will make thy name great. And thou wilt be a blessing, and thou shalt be a blessing. That's the whole purpose of Israel. Our whole purpose was to worship the one true God, the one who created the heavens and the earth, and point everyone else in the world to Him. What makes a nation is 3 things. These things were created for us by the Lord. So there's 3 things that make up a nation. These 3 things were given to us by God. 1 is our identity. The second one is resources. And the third is goals. So there are three things that make up a nation: identity, resources, and goals. Identity, resources, and goals. G-O-A-L-S, goals. That's the three things that make up a nation. All three of these things have been corrupted in the life of Yahweh's people. All three of these things have been corrupted. Just like our forefathers before us, we have lost our identity, our resources, our goals to the land that we live in. We, just like the Israelites became part of Egypt, so we have become part of America. You know, what does America do? What is America's purpose? It's all about what we have done as a nation, and not what God is doing with us as a nation, and what God desires to do with us as a nation. We've now become a self-made nation where we create life, we take life, we create it and we take life. We are manipulating the land. We're manipulating food. We're manipulating medicine. We basically have become the creator of everything. We've become a self-made nation and not a God-made nation. We have looked to the land to provide for us. We've looked to America to provide for us, not God. I'm going to go to school and get a good education and get a good job, and I'll let, the system work for me. What kid says, I want to do the will of God in my life? I want to do what God points me to. What person looks for a job and says, I want God to direct me in the career that He wants me to? Most of us say, well, I want to make about $80,000 a year or $90,000 a year, so therefore I know what career I need to choose.
The thing is, the kids do say that. Their parents go, well, that's nice, but you should go to college and get educated first, and then you'll work on it.
So we can see how the land has corrupted us. You can see the influences of the land where we've lost our identity. And we don't use our resources for the reason they were given to us. Yes?
I feel like even the welfare system has made our youth where they don't feel like they have to, they don't have to do anything.
They're not responsible.
It's gimme. My name is Jimmy.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You all know what is your greatest resource of any country, of any people?
Your elders.
No.
Bible.
It's your children.
Your kids.
Your kids. It ain't your gold mines, it ain't your mineral, it doesn't, any of that. It's your kids. Paul teaches Timothy to model somebody and bring him up, and they're going to replace you. Nobody does that. Not in my profession. Everybody protects it. Everybody wants to be the great good doctor, and you don't want to teach anybody else because they're going to come surpass you, and the administrator is going to replace you. That's the thing. And the kids are, have you all noticed? We talk about my kids. I can't count on them like my parents could count on me. The kids are not an asset anymore. They're a liability. They're all a liability. Why? Because this world teaches them to do that. They